Hello, Alicia.
Hi, Jared. It's so good to be back here.
It is. And welcome, listeners, to Vibrations and Manifestations.
Today, we are stepping into a really fascinating realm. It's that space where reality starts to feel a little more, well, attentive.
Yeah, attentive is the perfect word. We're going beneath the surface of what people just call coincidence and really plunging into the mechanics of synchronicity.
Exactly.
Those uncanny moments, those perfect, meaningful alignments that just stop you in your tracks.
Mm.
And they force you to ask that huge question, is this just me noticing life, or is life, actively noticing me back?
And that shift in perception, Jared, that's everything, isn't it?
It is.
Our mission today is, well, it's pretty ambitious. We want to move beyond the abstract and actually look at the architecture of these meaningful coincidences.
Right. Not just, oh, that was weird, but what's actually happening.
Exactly. We're bringing together psychological foundations, some really cutting-edge parallels from science, and most importantly, some practical, actionable tools.
The goal here is to show you the framework. We want you to stop treating these moments like they're just, I don't know, magical flukes.
Yes, and start actively participating in this conversation that the universe is, that it's already having with you.
So we're going to structure this deep dive in a few stages. First, we'll ground the concept in, real felt experience and define its psychological core.
Then we'll build that science spirit bridge to understand how reality can even seem so responsive.
And finally, we'll give you the practices, the actual tools to tune your own awareness and maybe even co-create the signal. It's all about moving from being a passive passenger to an active tuner.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to start with the subjective experience.
We have to. Synchronicity is, at its heart, it's about resonance.
Resonance.
Yeah, it's that jarring, perfect moment when your deep inner landscape, your questions, your fears, your hopes, it just aligns perfectly with something in the outer world.
And the meaning is just.
Yeah.
It's immediate. It's intense. You can't deny it.
Undeniable.
And I know we can talk about this abstractly, but it's so much more powerful when we ground it in real experience. I want to start with one of your most incredible stories. The week of repeating symbols.
Oh, the threshold week.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a wild one. It was basically a masterclass in the universe not being subtle at all.
So how did it start? Was it a big, loud sign right away?
No, not at all. It started so innocuously. I was scrolling through a book I hadn't touched in months. It was super early in the morning. I was half asleep, and my eye just fell directly onto one word. The word was threshold.
Threshold.
Yep. It wasn't profound, nothing special, but it registered. It just kind of settled into my subconscious like a little bookmark.
And it's that little moment of attention, that settling, that kind of primes the system, isn't it?
It is. It's the first breadcrumb. But the escalation was, it was immediate. Later that same day, I was driving through a part of the city I rarely visit, and there was this incredible, massive street mural. Not subtle art. We're talking huge, sweeping, almost graffiti-style gold letters.
And let me guess.
The word staring back at me was, again, threshold.
Wow.
I literally had to pull the car over. I felt this rush of confused, nervous energy. What is happening?
At 2 times in one day. It's already pushing the limits of coincidence.
Pushing it. And then came the moment that, for me, was just definitive. I was in a big grocery store, just wandering the aisles, not paying any attention to the background music. And suddenly, this specific song from my early 20s came on.
Okay, was it a popular song?
No, that's the thing. This wasn't some top 40 hit. It was a deep cut, the song I would literally put on my CD player back in the day when I was about to make a huge, terrifying leap of faith.
So it was your personal anthem for that feeling.
It was the soundtrack to me stepping into a new, scary phase of my life. And hearing that specific niche track in that corporate, generic environment was it was statistically improbable.
It felt intentional.
Utterly intentional.
I know from you telling me this before, once the universe decides to use a symbol, it stops being gentle.
It gets aggressive. I reached a point where I was genuinely laughing because the entire world had turned into this one massive billboard for a single word.
So what else happened?
The saturation was just intense. I opened my phone, and there's a text from an old client, someone I hadn't spoken to in months.
Yeah.
It said, I feel like I'm finally on the threshold of a breakthrough.
No way.
Then I scrolled social media. A wellness influencer I follow had captioned her photo, "Cross the threshold of your own potential."
It's everywhere.
It was relentless. I put on a history podcast, Jared, nothing to do with this field. And the host used the phrase, "This event represented a societal threshold moment." I just had to laugh.
Okay, so here's the essential piece, right? The thing that makes this a synchronicity and not just a weird string of coincidences, the internal context.
Exactly.
You were wrestling with a major, very private decision at that time, one that required you to move past a pretty significant emotional block.
I was. I needed to step over my own self-imposed fear line. That's exactly what it was.
A threshold.
My own personal threshold. And the universe wasn't giving me advice like, you should do this specific thing. It was simply repeating the word that perfectly described my exact internal psychological state and what I needed to do next.
Wow.
So when I finally took that leap, it didn't feel like this reckless jump into the unknown. It felt like a supported breakthrough. The resonance was complete.
That experience, that external confirmation of a deeply private internal tension,
Yeah.
that is the signature of true synchronicity.
It really is. And this moves us beautifully into the structure, right? These aren't just fascinating stories about luck. They are evidence of significance.
Exactly. And this is where Carl Jung comes in.
Right. The man who coined the term and gave us the primary theoretical foundation. He called synchronicity not cause and effect, but acausal connections through meaning.
Acausal connections through meaning. I love that phrase. It's so elegant. But it also brings up a really critical question, one I'm sure listeners are thinking.
Go on.
If the connection is acausal, how do we tell the difference between a genuine synchronicity and, basic wishful thinking or self-deception or just our brain noticing something we wanted to see?
That's a vital piece of constructive skepticism, and it's a great question.
Right.
The key differentiator is the intensity. It's the emotional impact. Wishful thinking, it often creates this fleeting sense of hope or, confirmation bias. But genuine synchronicity, it carries an undeniable visceral jolt. It's a feeling of numinosity, as Jung called it. It feels impossible to ignore.
There's a weight to it.
A huge weight. And crucially, it connects to an internal, unresolved psychological tension. The threshold word wasn't just confirming some small preference I had. It was describing a deep, frightening psychological block that demanded resolution.
Whereas wishful thinking just gives you a moment of comfort.
Exactly. Just pats you on the back. Synchronicity kicks you in the pants.
So the causal part means the falling book didn't physically cause you to see the mural.
Right. They weren't linked by physical causality.
But both events were connected by the deep significance they held for your psychological state at that moment. The significance itself is the connective thread.
The inner state and the outer event just coalesce. They become a single, meaningful experience.
Okay, so we've established the psychological structure. Now let's build that bridge.
Let's do it. When these deeply meaningful moments happen, they force us to reconsider the fundamental nature of reality.
You have to.
We have to start treating reality as inherently more responsive, more relational than the typical materialist worldview suggests.
Right. And modern science, particularly physics and neuroscience, they provide these incredible conceptual parallels that, well, they don't prove synchronicity in a lab.
No.
But they make the idea of a deep underlying interconnectedness seem entirely plausible.
Absolutely. And let's start with the big one, the quantum frameworks.
Okay.
Quantum entanglement is so often referenced, but it's crucial we treat this as a powerful conceptual metaphor.
Right. We're not saying your thoughts are literally entangled with a coffee cup.
Exactly. That's a really important distinction. The foundational principle of entanglement, which came out of thought experiments like the EPR paradox and was later confirmed by experiments from guys like Elaine Aspect, is non-locality. It says that two particles can become linked in such a way that they share the same fate, instantly, no matter the physical distance between them.
Right. If you measure one, you instantly know the property of the other.
Instantly. And in physics, this is so strange because it suggests information is traveling faster than light, which Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance.
So how does that spooky action relate to synchronicity?
As a metaphor, entanglement suggests that meaning, or significance, that subjective experience we've been talking about, it might operate non-locally too.
Okay, I see.
It models a reality where the boundary between my isolated thought over here and the external event over there is, it's porous.
It's not a solid wall.
Yep, not at all. It suggests that you and the external world are not truly separate observers. You're parts of a greater entangled system where your internal shifts can instantaneously correlate with external shifts in information or pattern.
That reframes everything. If we're entangled parts of a whole, then our deepest questions aren't just isolated noise in our heads.
No, they're nodes in a massive connected network.
And that brings us directly to the role of our individual node, our role as the observer through the observer effect.
The observer effect, again, it's fundamental to quantum mechanics and a powerful parallel for understanding personal reality.
It's the idea that just looking at something changes it.
At a quantum level, yes. The simple act of observation fundamentally alters the outcome of an experiment. The classic illustration is the double-slit experiment.
Right.
When you fire electrons through two slits without looking, they act like waves, they create an interference pattern, but the moment you install a detector to observe which slit the electron goes through,
It changes its behavior.
instantly, it stops behaving like a wave and collapses into a single particle. Your attention, the observer's focus, forces the system to behave in a specific, measurable way.
Okay, so if we translate that to our listener's life, what does it mean that our focus acts like that detector?
It means your deepest questions, your internal focus, your alignment, the observer that is your consciousness. It's not passive. It's not just a camera recording the world.
It's actively involved.
It's actively involved in collapsing possibilities into your perceived reality and, crucially, generating the emergence of signs. When you focus intensely on pushing versus allowing, your consciousness, like that detector, forced specific information to materialize in your reality.
Wow. So we are, in a very real sense, active co-creators of the patterns we perceive.
Yes. And this idea of an underlying interconnectedness is also just beautifully articulated by the physicist David Bohm.
Bohm's implicate order.
Exactly. Bohm proposed this idea of an implicate order, a hidden underlying totality, this unbroken wholeness that contains all possible information and potential.
And the world we see every day.
That's the explicate order. It's merely an unfolding or an explication of this deeper, unseen order. And synchronicity, in Bohm's framework, is simply the moments when that implicate order briefly and explicitly shows its organizing hand in our daily world.
It's the universe reminding you of the hidden blueprint.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So that gives us the conceptual framework for how reality might be organized to allow for these acausal connections. Now let's bring it back into our own bodies, our physical architecture.
Right into the brain.
Because our brain has this profound mechanism that is dedicated precisely to filtering the world based on our focus. The reticular activating system, the RAS.
The RAS is our biological decoder ring. It's a network of nuclei and fibers in the brainstem, and its primary job is sensory filtering.
It's like a bouncer for your brain.
Totally. You are constantly bombarded by millions of pieces of sensory data every second, sights, sounds, smells. The RAS prevents your cortex from being totally overwhelmed.
So it decides what gets in.
It filters everything and only alerts your conscious awareness to 3 categories of stuff. Novel stimuli, things that are new and different.
Nope.
Salient stimuli, things important for survival. And this is the key one for us. Goal-relevant stimuli.
Goal relevant.
We always use the example of buying a new car, and suddenly you see that car everywhere.
Right.
But let's get a bit more precise. When you set a goal, say you decide you want to start a side business in a very niche field, your RAS immediately flags anything related to that field as goal relevant.
So before, all that information was just filtered out as noise.
Exactly. But now your RAS is sending a continuous alert to your conscious mind saying, pay attention to this. It matches the internal program you just set.
So if I'm aligned mentally and emotionally around a question like, what is my next threshold? My RAS instantly tunes to that psychological frequency.
And it starts highlighting everything connected to that theme in your external environment. That is the alignment principle in action.
But is this just confirmation bias?
It's a great question, and we need to distinguish clearly. Confirmation bias is actively seeking out information that confirms a belief you already hold.
Okay.
The RAS is a neutral mechanism. It flags novel, relevant information based on your internal focus, whether that focus is positive or negative.
So synchronicity is this powerful intersection.
Yes. It's where your internal focusing mechanism, your directed attention, and your RAS and the external environment seem to cooperate in this improbable, meaningful way.
The world is always broadcasting signals, but the RAS is the receiver that tunes us in.
It turns the background static into the foreground focus, and this is strongly supported by Gestalt psychology, which is all about our brain's intrinsic drive for pattern recognition.
We want to connect the dots.
We are wired to complete the pattern. When you give your brain a theme, it strives to connect the dots, drawing lines between seemingly separate external events and your internal state. And that meaningful pattern completion is synchronicity.
So the signal is always there, but it requires both inner focus and the right biological filter, the RAS, for us to even perceive the conversation.
And once you understand that cooperation, you move past just hoping for signs.
You begin to guide the signal.
And this is where we move from theory to practice. It's crucial.
It is.
Understanding the science of resonance and the RAS allows us to introduce practices that actively enhance our receptive state. We become active tuners.
The first one is foundational, and it uses really robust research from expressive writing to give you undeniable insight. It's the synchronicity log.
We frame it as a 7-day awareness ritual.
The practice itself has to be simple and immediate. For 7 days, you keep a dedicated log.
Just a little notebook or a note on your phone.
Exactly. And you note anything that feels weirdly aligned. A repeated number sequence, an old friend calling right when you thought of them, a specific line in a random TV commercial.
A word appearing 3 times in one day. You jot it down immediately, even if it feels mundane.
But, and this is the crucial insight that elevates this from just journaling, you have to track the resonance signature.
Yes. You must track how the event made you feel. Was there a flash of uncomfortable recognition? Did you feel a surge of warmth? Nervous laugh?
That emotional response is the subjective evidence of that acausal connection. It's the internal echo.
And the powerful part, the analysis, happens after the 7 days are up.
Right. You sit down, you read the entire list aloud, and you start to perform a thematic analysis, just like in research.
And you realize you haven't just created a random list of weird stuff.
No. You've created a thematic map of your current psychological landscape.
The recurring symbols, the feelings, the events, they reveal the precise theme or question you are currently wrestling with. Maybe it's a need for boundaries, or a fear of success, or a block around self-worth.
It's incredible. The research on expressive writing shows that externalizing and structuring these emotional connections can lead to cognitive restructuring. The patterns become clear, and that can lead to a psychological breakthrough.
It prevents you from just dismissing the pattern as randomness, because the emotional weight and the repetition become undeniable when you see it all written down.
I love that one. Our second tool focuses entirely on setting that initial focus for the day. We call it Ask plus Observe. It's a morning alignment signal.
This ritual works directly with that RAS system we were talking about. Before the chaotic energy of the day consumes your focus, you take a moment to center yourself.
And it should be gentle, a relaxed, heart-centered kind of way.
Absolutely. Place a hand over your heart and just whisper your intention. Something like, show me alignment today, or guide me toward the path of least resistance.
And the mindset here is everything.
It is. You have to soften your focus. You're removing the tension of demand. You are not hunting for a specific clue.
You're just making yourself receptive.
You're signaling to your internal filter. Be open to noticing what is unusual, what repeats, what stands out from the noise today. This intentional pause just tunes your frequency to be receptive to the conversation that's already happening.
So you're basically telling your RAS to prioritize pattern detection related to alignment. It makes it so much more likely you'll catch a significant wink instead of just a random event.
Exactly.
Okay, and finally, tool 3. Symbol decoding. This is about learning your own personal meaning map.
Yes. When you have a symbol that persistently shows up, a repeated animal, an old significant object, a specific phrase, an archetypal image, you have to engage with it personally.
So what's the action?
You select that one persistent symbol, and you engage in quiet, intentional introspection. You sit with it.
So you imagine the symbol, maybe it's a recurring image of a key or specific type of bird.
Right. and you ask it directly with your full focus. What are you trying to tell me right now, specific to my life?
Now, this is where the Jungian connection is so important. Jung understood that symbols have universal power archetypes.
Yes, from the collective unconscious.
However, the specific meaning they carry for you at this exact moment is intensely personal, and we have to strongly caution you against external interpretation.
Yes, please do not Google meaning of recurring symbols.
Right, that just injects a generic external definition that destroys the synchronicity. The power of the sign is that it uses your unique, intuitive lexicon.
So you have to trust the first internal rise, the first word, memory, or feeling that surfaces. That is your authentic, personal decoding of the sign.
Right. So if you keep seeing a bridge, and the first feeling you get is tiredness, the message isn't about crossing some great achievement.
No, it might be telling you that the weight of the transition you're in is exhausting you. The interpretation has to come from within you, the recipient.
Okay, so we have the tools, but what happens when it all just stops? We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
You were seeing the winks, the numbers, the meaningful songs, and then suddenly,
Yeah.
silence, just static. If the universe is always talking, why does the signal go quiet?
It's a completely necessary stage. It really is. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means the channel is overloaded or blocked somehow.
So we call this manifestation debug mode.
And we use gentle, introspective questions, we call them doors, to clear that static. Synchronicity requires a receptive, relaxed state, and blocks usually come from tension.
Okay, so let's open the first door. This is a big one. Over control.
The silent killer of flow and magic.
It is. The question to ask yourself is this: am I gripping outcomes so tightly that nothing new can reach me?
This tension it's psychological, but it's also vibrational. When we try to micromanage every single detail, the timeline, the mechanism, the exact outcome, we signal a deep lack of trust in the system.
Right, we're essentially telling the universe, my tiny, highly specific plan must prevail, even if it contradicts the much bigger unfolding intelligence.
And that high-tension, high-grip state creates a psychological and vibrational blockade. It prevents that subtle, non-local information from landing.
So what's the release?
It has to be tangible. You take a genuine breath, feel your jaw and your shoulders relax, and then you identify and you physically release control over just one thing you have been micromanaging.
Just one thing.
Maybe it's the specific deadline for a project, or the exact way a relationship discussion should go. Creating that energetic space allows new synchronistic information to arrive.
Okay, that's door one. What's door two?
Door two is one that often traps highly intelligent, analytical people. It's the curiosity collapse.
Curiosity collapse. I like that.
The question here is direct. Am I open to magic, or am I trying to analyze everything away before it has time to breathe?
Oh, that's a good one.
If you find yourself immediately trying to dissect the RAS function, the quantum parallel, and the psychological implication the second a synchronicity occurs, you are collapsing the necessary curiosity and wonder.
You're killing the magic.
You're killing the magic. Curiosity is the oxygen that synchronicity needs to flourish. The analytical mind is a powerful servant, but it's a terrible master in this process.
So you're saying receptivity is a relaxed, open state, and that immediate, intense rationalization is a contracted state.
Exactly. We need to soften the purely logic-based approach. Just allow the event to be magical for a moment before the analysis begins.
It's the difference between experiencing a beautiful sunset and immediately rushing to measure the angle of the sun and the specific wavelengths of light.
Perfect analogy. Both are useful, but one destroys the immediate experience of awe.
Right. So we clear the static by releasing the need to control the outcome and softening our need to instantly rationalize the input.
And the anchor phrase to bring us back to center is always the same.
Clear that static and tune into magic.
With the channel cleared and the frequency tuned, we're ready to move into the final phase,
An immersive practice.
designed to activate that receptive state in real time. We're going to use visualization to reconnect with the language of sensation and image.
Okay. So for this exercise, I invite you to find a comfortable position. You could be sitting or lying down, just somewhere you won't be interrupted for a few minutes.
And you may wish to close your eyes. We're going to guide you slowly. Remember, this visualization is structured to externalize your inner psychological material, those Jungian symbols, and then teach your body how the feeling of resonance truly manifests.
Let's begin. Take a slow, intentional breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top for just a moment, feeling the expansion in your chest. And exhale gently through your mouth, releasing any lingering tension in your shoulders and your jaw.
Let's take 2 more, just like that. Slowing the rhythm of your body down. Imagine now that you are standing at the edge of a vast, silent field at night. This is your safe, centered mental space.
The air is cool and still, wrapping gently around you. There is no sound except the slow rhythm of your breathing and a soft, steady pulse deep in the earth beneath your feet.
Feel that quiet hum, almost like the heartbeat of the world connecting you to the ground. Ahead of you, the sky is like velvet dark, stretching wide and impossibly deep.
It is absolutely alive, shimmering with countless stars that feel closer and brighter than normal. They're waiting for your attention. As you step fully into the center of the field, just let your awareness rest on the immense tapestry above you. Breathe into the feeling of openness and safe space.
Now, observe the deep sky. Something subtle begins to shift. Slowly, gently, the stars start to move. They're rearranging themselves. The constellations loosen and swirl, reforming like glowing liquid light.
And as you watch this great cosmic rearrangement, you begin to recognize specific symbols, images, and patterns that feel intensely personal and familiar to you. Maybe it's a word you've been hearing repeated lately.
Maybe it's the image of a symbol you've seen 3 times this week. Perhaps it's a strong emotional imprint, a specific color, a childhood memory, or a question you keep asking yourself.
Just let the imagery that is unique to your current inner life form above you.
Whatever appears, trust it immediately. This is the externalization of your inner psychological material, your unique symbolic language made visible. Allow it to rise and speak to you without judgment.
Now, within that great cosmic display, one constellation, one specific shape or symbol, pulses brighter than all the rest.
It feels like a spotlight, a gentle invitation directed solely at you. This is your signal. Walk slowly toward that brighter symbol.
And with each step you take toward it, check in with your physical body. Notice the sensation that rises.
A distinct warmth in your chest, maybe.
A sudden bright clarity in your mind.
Or a soft, undeniable hum in your belly.
This is pure resonance. This physical sensation is your alignment tuning itself. You are recognizing the physical feeling of your internal frequency, locking perfectly onto the external signal.
When you reach the symbol, lift your hand gently and touch the glowing starlight. The moment your fingers make contact, the constellation bursts, not violently, but into a soft cascade of shimmering light that falls around you like golden dust.
It dissolves the image and replaces it with pure, luminous energy. And now, right in front of you, a pathway begins to form. It is a straight, glowing trail made entirely of that fallen starlight, stretching forward across the dark field.
This path represents guided, supported action. Feel the quality of the light beneath your feet. Is it warm? Is it stable? Does it feel gently magnetic, reminding you of a deep truth you already hold?
Take your first slow step onto the path. As you walk intentionally, each footstep activates an intuition, a realization, or a memory that rises from deep inside your inner world.
The name of a person you need to reach out to. The project you are truly ready to commit to.
The old, worn-out fear you are finally ready to release. The specific, quiet desire you have been whispering but not claiming fully.
Let each step bring one insight softly to the surface. This is your deeper self, using the language of synchronicity to communicate your next steps. Let each realization feel like a star lighting up inside you.
Continue walking the luminous path. And now, gently ask the universe, or your deepest knowing, one clear question.
What are you trying to show me right now? Do not force or analyze the answer. This is the moment of complete surrender and high receptivity. Trust the first thing that arrives, no matter how illogical or small.
A single, distinct word. A sudden, strong sensation in your body.
A feeling of direction, an inner knowing that you cannot articulate.
That is your personal synchronicity signal, the ultimate wink from the universe. Let that message land deeply.
Now, begin to imagine that starlight path lifting up gently and flowing into your chest, gathering at the center of your heart. It feels like the universe is placing a small, glowing seed of guidance right at your core.
Feel yourself become warmer,
Clearer,
more open, secure, and profoundly attuned.
Take one last, slow breath in, anchoring this feeling of deep resonance.
And exhale slowly, letting the field soften and fade, knowing you can return to this state of attuned focus at any time.
When you are ready, gently return your awareness to the physical space around you, bringing with you the clarity, the message, and the feeling of resonance that appeared for you.
Welcome back.
That exercise is such a powerful, real-time demonstration of how quickly we can activate that receptive state we need for synchronicity.
It really is. We covered a massive amount of ground today, Alicia, moving from personal experience to quantum concepts and right back to our own bodies.
We did. To recap the key insights for everyone, synchronicity is not randomness. It is pure resonance. Those acausal connections linked by meaning.
And we explored the science behind that responsiveness. We established how Jung's foundation finds these powerful parallels in quantum entanglement and the observer effect.
And how our own biology, specifically the reticular activating system, acts as the essential filter to turn all that background noise into relevant signals.
Then we gave you 3 tangible tools for tuning your awareness. The 7-day synchronicity log for reflective analysis.
The Ask plus Observe ritual to set that intentional daily focus.
And symbol decoding to access your personal intuitive language. And just as importantly, we learned how to clear the signal static.
The static caused by overcontrol and that logic collapse in debug mode.
The core philosophical takeaway that really ties all this work together is the same nugget we want you to carry into your week.
Coincidence is the universe playing with your focus.
So we challenge you, we invite you to commit to the 7-day synchronicity log this week.
Make a list, track the feeling, and actively observe what patterns come alive in your reality. That simple act of intentional noticing is the powerful engine of change.
And connecting all this back to the broader concepts of flow and intentional living, the wisdom is clear. Synchronicity happens far more frequently, not when we're passively waiting for signs.
No, it happens when we are deeply engaged and highly present in our own lives.
Absolutely. The deeper the engagement, the higher the presence, the more often we enter that state of flow. Synchronicity isn't about passively being guided.
It's the profound, meaningful feedback you receive for being fully and consciously present in the co-creation of your reality.
So stay curious, stay open, stay receptive to the quiet signs, especially the ones that speak only your personal language.
You are guided, supported, and right on time. We'll talk to you next time.
On Vibrations and Manifestations.